This is an actual victory. For those of you who've been following, we've spoken about this before on the channel. I actually made a video on my channel dedicated to these reporters, these state reporters. So, basically you've got CGTN, you've got CCTV, all these big state-run media companies. And they get labeled as state-affiliated media whenever they post on YouTube and Twitter and stuff, right? Which is good. You need that. You need to know that. You actually need to know that what you're reading is coming directly from the Chinese government, because it prepares you. Because then okay, it's probably going to be biased towards China and the CCP, right?
Yeah.
So they got kind of annoyed by this because their propaganda is less effective that way. Yes, it is. It's way, way, way less effective. So what they did was they got their reporters to distance themselves, to kind of pretend to be independent content creators, right? So you've got a whole bunch of pretty girls and various other people creating their own YouTube channels, creating their own little blogs, creating their Twitter accounts, and divorcing themselves from the media, but still spewing the exact same propaganda. Yeah. In fact, the same stuff they're putting on Twitter is the same stuff that they're being putting out.
Quite literally.
It's the same thing on the CGTN official website.
It's like the editors at CGTN made this for the show on CGTN, state media, and then they post the exact same thing.
They post the exact same thing. Maybe they leave a watermark out or whatever.
But it's the same shit.
It's the exact same thing. So then Twitter, YouTube, etc. doesn't label them as state-affiliated media, and they can get away from that. So now when they're putting it like, oh, I'm just a young girl who's like going around talking about like the Xinjiang genocide or whatever, that's my own personal channel, and so then it's seen as personal. Anyway,
Twitter removed the Guli girl.
Got rid of them.
Remember them?
Now this is a big good one over here. Look, Jingjing Li is has got a little thing underneath her name. Can you see?
Yep.
Says China state-affiliated media.
Someone's sour about that.
Okay.
So what happened was there was enough evidence, obviously, for Twitter. They have these guys that go on to do info verification.
Yeah.
There's enough info where they're like, holy shit. And we saw a bunch of Chinese people, Chinese dissidents. They were tweeting at Twitter. Look at this account. This is literally state propaganda.
Yeah, I was doing it too. Because the whole point of this is they take advantage of Western media, social media, and it pisses me off, all right? Because when you are a journalist working for the Chinese government and you are only posting Chinese government propaganda, you need to have that affiliation. If you're a journalist but your Twitter is all about like, oh, I'm wearing this fashion today, or I went to go like have an ice cream or whatever, that's fine, that's personal, it's different. Sure. But if you're only posting your state-sponsored propaganda stuff that has been made by the state, you are state-affiliated media. And it pisses me off that they get away with this and use our own social media against us for soft power.
Correct.
Right? So I kept posting. Anyway, finally, I'll read you what she said. She said, I have this Twitter account for 10 years now, and I started long before I started my current job with CGTN. I use it to share my views, my personal life, and my work. But yesterday, Twitter decided to give me this label. Badge of honor, I guess.
I'll tell you why this is damning. This is a problem, I mean, maybe less for her, but more for the Chinese government, because the Chinese government creates these entities.
Yes.
They create these accounts to make it, like you said, make it look like, oh, this is just someone's normal life. By the way, we're going to sneak in propaganda. Yeah. All of that effort is wasted when that badge comes on.
Yes.
When that, what's it called? A title.
Yeah, exactly. It's a title.
Chinese state-affiliated media will tell you this is quite literally the Chinese government operating social media.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I put a little response to that. I said, it's about time since you actually use your Twitter account to post state CCP propaganda, and it is in no way a personal account. You use it to spread and support your government work. I'm glad Twitter is waking up to this submersive infiltration. All right, and just to prove that I'm not talking nonsense here, I also said, thank you, Twitter, for finally recognizing official Chinese state-affiliated reporters for what they are. At least people can be forewarned that they are reading biased state content.
And again, we've never said remove all Chinese state propaganda.
No,
I personally think that on Western media platforms, if you're going to use freedom of speech, that country should allow people to use it in their own nation.
Yeah.
But it's a slippery slope, because then people that use VPNs, they want to share their opinions, right? That should be allowed. The problem is, when you have state accounts like this, you should at least have this label. I'm not saying silence.
Just to show you, this is what her normal posts are. Okay, so she has a post. Her pinned tweet is actually, new video. I hit the streets in Urumqi, #Xinjiang a month ago. Look at all the oppression there. Unbelievable. And then it's showing her like state-sponsored trip where she's like going and look, there's no oppression. There's no genocide. The Uyghurs are happy. Okay, that's definitely state-sponsored propaganda. Yes. That whole trip, we know it was a CGTN trip because some of the shills went along with her.
Yeah, they're in that.
Floppy Hat Vegetable Lord was there doing this along with her. We know it's a paid CCP organized trip. Then another one that she's got, also just August 18th, a couple of days ago. The regional GDP in #Tibet grew from 71 billion yuan to 190.3 billion from 2012 to 2020. Growth rate of residential income ranked number 1 in #China for 6 years. Population doubled. Tibetans accounted for 90%. A remarkable progress. Happy 70th anniversary of peaceful liberation of Tibet. Okay, guys, if you cannot see that for being propaganda, then you're a moron, okay? What kind of a personal account goes out and says, oh, look at the GDP increase and look at the wealthness and all this. It's
as a reporter for the Chinese government.
Exactly. It's like if you were a federal agent and you go to like an Indian reservation, it's like, look at the birth rates increased exponentially. The wealth income gap has been decreased.
Don't listen to what you've been told.
Apache reservations, everything is great. #congratulations on 100 odd or 300 odd years of reservation life. That is not a personal account.
No.
Okay?
No.
It's state-sponsored propaganda. Yeah. So to try to pretend that this was a personal account for so long is just a farce. And it's good that they finally woke up. And
there's
this is
a lot
what
more
we
to
need.
do, though. There's a lot more.
It wasn't just her. There's another one as well, Serena or whatever her name is, that also got this label, which is good.
So what I wanted to say, and we like to have actionable consequence, right? Yes. And our actionable consequence here is that Twitter did the right thing.
Finally.
Right? YouTube needs to do the right thing now.
They need to do that.
And this is not a personal beef, but you know the commie bunch that we showed before?
Yeah,
these Western shills. When they work for the Chinese government. They literally on the roster for CGTN, they recruit for CGTN.
They appear on CGTN.
They appear on that. They do shows with them. They're clearly getting paid. It's not volunteer work.
No.
If you're on Chinese state media and you're reposting that media and you're a personality on that and you're on their payroll or their roster, then I also agree. I didn't say you need to take down their material, but you need to have Chinese state affiliated media on the YouTube videos.
Absolutely.
Is that too much to ask?
Apparently so.
It's not fair.
Especially when it's provable. 100%
Correct.
provable.
It is. It'd take you 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But there's no forum on YouTube to report something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not reporting. I don't want people to mass flag. I don't want people to go out there and try to destroy someone's livelihood. But I want transparency for Chinese state affiliated media on Western platforms when those platforms are banned by the Chinese government. They are operating past the firewall that they set up to block their own citizens so that they can't integrate with us and talk to us.
Yeah.
And then use that for their own state propaganda censorship.
Yes.
Right? So how is that allowed to not have the same label? Twitter did the right thing here. YouTube, you need to step up and do that too. You do it for they do it for CGTN, the channel, but they don't do it for the channels that work for them.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, we need more of this, just so people can be forewarned.
Right.
You know, and you would expect if the federal government of America had their own sponsored channels out there to get the same.
Agreed.
You know?
I mean, it should be everywhere, right?
Yeah, it should be.
Here's our hotel in Shaoguan.
Wow, what a view. One hotel I stayed in once, it had curtains, you opened it, it was just a wall. I'm not even joking. No one wants to watch someone else take a turd. Okay, I don't care how close you are to them, you just don't want to see it.
You don't want to see it.
Look at Mark on the side of the road, turning tricks. Hanging out with a hose. Hey, T-Milk. Hey! Stop! I got a question for you. Sure. What do you want? Hey, Simo.
What? I love that. That is incredibly cringe.
It's very cringe. Your writing style is an inspiration.
breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind worked